All right, Motorama. This is year 2 of the Southern Ontario Dirt Show. My name is Jonathan Howe. He is Travis Cunningham. And we're starting the show off with a guest right off the hop. Clinton Geoffery in the middle of us, representing Ohsweken Speedway here today. But we want to get the Clinton Geoffery story because Travis has been saying for I think basically since we started the podcast that you have to be a guest because you've got some stories to tell.
I've been around a while with Travis.
That's the main thing, yeah. People don't know, Mikey Krutchka is Clinton's brother, and me and him were best buds up growing through up. So I spent Super Dirt Weeks with Clint in the trailer, and it was us, and then Adam had a different trailer, but it was always me, you, Mike, and Lucas.
Well, we had the party trailer and then the sissy trailer.
Yes, exactly.
The guys who cared to go to bed at a decent hour, and those that never went to bed.
Adam would only party on Sundays, and I only ever stayed once for that, but it was a good time. But
he's around here, and he's a lot bigger than me.
I love it.
We better watch we don't get body slammed from the back. He just got here. But, we talked about that. Man, Syracuse was so much fun, but look at the scene we've got here today.
Yeah, I know. Not as many dirt cars as last year, maybe. There is some beautiful ones, though. My favorite dirt car here is honestly the McPhail Street Stock. We know one of the corners over there.
It's crazy to think they built that in 90 days.
Yeah, and just the way the cage is hanging out of the roof and stuff.
Do I need to go look at it and check it?
Maybe. There's fender flares on it. I don't know if those are legal. They look awesome, though.
I don't know if Jimmy and Scott are listening. They are not legal, and they will have to be removed.
That's what I thought.
They loaded it here on Thursday. And one of the asphalt guys come up to me and goes, "Are those fender flares legal?" And I said, "Did you see me taking a picture?" He said, "Yeah, I saw you text it to somebody too." I'm like, "Yeah, they're just not going to fly." But that's and would Jimmy Lowenberg be doing a good job if he wasn't trying to push the envelope?
Yeah, but for the show, there's been discussions with Doug Gordon. He built the street stock for Ron Logie, I think it was, at the mall show, and he chopped the roof and did a bunch of cool things just for the show.
I don't care.
The Batmobile for the Maryville show at the Penn Center always, right?
Do you remember Morningstar?
Yes.
He built Scott Wood like a Batmobile-looking thing with the lightning bolt
with the
bumpers.
jagged bumpers.
And both those cars almost got kicked out of the mall show.
Which is ridiculous. I didn't go over and start anything with Scott here today. Yeah. When it comes up, we'll work it out. And, it's a simple thing. Hey, I saw they were riveted on. Nothing a little 1/4 inch drill and a drill bit won't take care of. We can fix that in 5 minutes.
They reminded me of the Junior Hanley days.
It looks great.
That's why they do it. Yeah.
I love the look of it. It's not that. It's just when you got 80 to 100 cars on the same package, as soon as you start letting that little thing go, and bodies are the most contentious thing in that division, really, because, we had guys, even Murray a couple years ago had a flat deck car that everybody was mad about. It's just, you really want to keep your hands around that type of division when you got it going well.
So I feel like we got to start with the beginning. We got to start from the very beginning. How did you get into racing, Clinton? And was it a dirt start for you as it was for most of us, Travis and myself?
Yeah, I, like most kids, ruined my dad's racing career when I was born. Gary raced in 69, 70, 71, 72, and he was a contender. That's the cool thing when you get the old pictures that come back. You're like, all right, he wasn't just telling stories. He was actually a top 3, top 2 guy. Almost won the championship in late model back when we only had 3 classes, and there was 40, 50, 60 guys in every class. He raced against Bicknell and all them when they were getting started with the Rosardo. So my dad started that, and then, so I was a kid who grew up knowing about racing, went to Merrittville a few times. The Slade family were always good to my dad, so Colin Slade and that, we'd always go there and check out their cars a few times a year. But for me, my dad became a musician, became a bluegrass musician playing 5-string banjo, and we went around to what I call Bluegrass Canada, a lot of festivals. He was almost a lot like racing. We were a touring band. I was a kid, but Dad had a 4-piece band that was real popular, and we'd go camping in our motorhome from different venue to venue every weekend, and Dad would perform Friday night, a couple times Saturday, once on Sunday, and it was just a big festival party, and we did that until I was 22, and then I was in... my dad was in the security business, and he saw at Welland Rent-A-Bay they had a complete mod stock, remember those, for sale, and it was $2,500, complete race-ready car. And he came home and said, I bought a race car, we're going back racing. And I'm like, wait a minute now, we're musicians, we don't have a garage, we don't have a trailer, you don't even have a truck, you don't have tools, you don't have a jack. What do you mean you bought a race car? He said, I bought a race car, $2,500. I went and talked to 2 of my sponsors, and we got sponsors. 2 business guys gave him $4,000. So we went out, bought a Canadian Tire jack, a toolbox, a couple jack stands, towed the thing to Humberstone on a borrowed trailer, cracked head, blew it up that night, and I'm like, well, that's the end of our race. And Dad said, no, we're tearing this thing down. So my grandma's garage, we took the heads off, And I mean, you as an engine guy would be disgusted at what we did, but we hand sanded it all. I mean, we pulled that motor with ropes. We had nothing back then. And that was kind of the start of showing me, the racing showed me we could do anything we needed to do. So we got back racing when I was 22, and I was in the band by that time. I was, musician playing and singing on the road. But man, racing just took over the passion, and it was all we wanted to do then. And we got back into it. Mike would have been 14, 15 at the time. I would have been about 20, 21, 22 around there. And then after our first year at Maryville, I was taking radio, TV, film at school. I wanted to be a film guy. Never wanted to be on camera. Never wanted to be one of these guys. And then it came about that they had a job posting in the school for an announcer at Ohsweken Speedway, Jonathan's job. And I'm like, I got to get the job. So I was the guy in the pits who stood there. I'm like, hey, Travis, I knew all the gossip about everybody. I just didn't have a microphone in my hand. So I bugged Jim Irvine and Steve, I can't remember his name, Steve Gilliam were the two managers there. They paid me $40 and a hot dog, literally, and I sucked so bad they didn't bring me back the second year. I managed to meet Glenn, and I started a radio show on CHOW, 1470 CHOW. I bought the time, did track talk with Clint Geoffery because I was determined, even though I was rotten, and it just worked out. And then I met Glenn. The first day he opened the Speedway, I was there racing with Dad because they race mod stocks at this track, and it was at this show, or the other CME show, where I first saw it. They were at the front door. We walked in. I'm like, wait a minute, this is half hour from our house, and they actually raced mod stocks, which was like an obscure division. So I met Glenn opening day, and I said, hey, man, I hope you got a lot of money because it's going to take a while till this catches on. And back then, he didn't have a lot of money. He'll tell you if you watch Friday and Thunder, they were borrowing money from his mom. So everybody looks at Glenn and think, oh, he's got the world by the bag. It wasn't always like that. It was only last 10 years he got to be where he is. Yep. But for that, a lot of it was tough. And I met Glenn, and he said, I want you to come out and work for me. And from then, it just kind of took off, and I've been there 27 years now.
Yeah, that's one thing about Glenn is I did see the struggle, like the Flamborough days when he would show up with his old Challenger number. I think it was 94 back then.
Yeah, because he started in 94.
Yeah, on like a one-axle trailer. So I've definitely seen Glenn from the beginning. I was there on the Flamborough days and all those days,
I got to give you the Glenn first story. So
okay,
he had, and this is Glenn's story, but it's a good one. So he had a friend who had that late model or whatever it was, and he said a guy needed money trouble. Glenn says, I'll buy your race car off you. Never knew anything about racing. Wasn't a racing guy at all. Where do you race it? Well, it raced at Flamborough on Saturday. So he tows it down to Flamborough, and he gets in. The guy beside him says, well, where's your tools? Goes, I've got none. Where's your gas? I filled it up before I got here. Where's your air gauge? He goes, tires look good. He had no clue what was going on. And they're all laughing at him. And look at what he's turned into now. But, in the early days, it was not all peaches and cream for Glenn.
When you look back on it, those are the days, though, as most racers have them, that usually end up being the most fun. Because there's no expectations. You don't know what you're doing. You're just there to have fun, which is hard to do as you go.
Yeah, if we could turn the clock back 27 years to Ohsweken to, well, it was July 6, 96, however long that ago is, the track was way different. It was basically a dirt circle, had one length of fence, one small grandstand. We had no boost, no concession. It was crazy to think what it is now. But, man, I'm super thankful to be the one at the helm of this place now.
All right, so more Clinton Geoffery stories. My favorite one is your big deal when you got called to do Super Dirt Week on Speed. So give us the story how I got the call, your first interview, and then that whole deal.
I don't really remember how I got the call, but somehow we were doing a lot of Dirt Track Digest stuff back in the day. And I was kind of the video face of DTD at the time. And for those who don't know what Dirt Track Digest is, before we had social media, it had a message board. And it was the hottest dirt community out there with the best gossip and the most population. And Adam Rossner actually bought it because the guy was going to close it. And I'm like, you can't close this. And it was Chris Pop, and I said, Adam, ask him what he wants for it. He said he wanted $20,000 US. I said, well, tell him to call us back when he actually has a clue. So we ended up buying it for $5,000. We got Lucas Oil money for 10. So we made $5,000 that day. So it would never cost anything. We had it for about 10 years. And then just being all the video stuff. And back then we didn't have YouTube. We didn't have Facebook. If we were doing a video, actually we did have YouTube. YouTube was in its infancy. We were editing the videos on the fly, posting them up. We had a pretty pro deal. And somehow I knew Shane Andrews and those guys. And I don't know, somehow I got the call, and man, to get the call from Speed TV back in the day, because that was a big network.
It was the dream.
So to work my first big TV race for Speed TV at the biggest race of all Syracuse was awesome, and you laugh at me because I didn't take my sunglasses off, my first intro. So my first big time TV, there's me, Joe Jackass Cool, with my sunglasses on.
Never knew that was a bad thing to do until you came into the trailer after your first interview to get a water or whatever, and you were just cursing yourself big time.
I didn't take my sunglasses off. What am I doing? But yeah, it was so cool to be a part of that deal. And Matt Shepard blew me off so bad that race, and I haven't been a fan of him since. Yeah,
Really?
I've never forgiven Matt Shepard for that.
Really?
Give me the story.
So Matt Shepard was the defending Super Dirt Series champion, and I think the 200 defending champion. He blew up around lap 90 at 200, and the TV crew goes, we got to get that interview. We ran down there, and we got to the side door of his man door of his trailer. We got quick interview. He goes, basically told us to get the hell out of there.
Oh my.
And I was like, well, right then, I've never been a Matt Shepard fan ever since. I'm like, when you're at the top of your sport, and you're the champion, and the defending champion of this major event, have a bit of class, man, and help us.
At least
help
for
us
10
promote.
seconds on a tough break.
Hey, I'm not some jackass coming up to get your autograph. I got national TV camera in my hand. We're trying to get your side of things. I realize it isn't the best moment for you. But what I learned from, as we continue to do the DTD stuff year after year, even beyond that, I had a huge respect for Brett Hearn. Because I saw Brett Hearn wreck one night on the Friday night when we had the twins and triples. He wrecked one car and blew up a car. He had the worst night ever. He saw me and JT Miller walking across our cameras. He called us over, said, hey, man, do you mind if I go get a hat and a coat and I'll be right back? Went in, because JT said, let's go get him. I said, I'm not bugging him today, man. Matt Shepard is going to kill me 3 years ago. But he said, and Brett called us over, gave us such a great interview, and ever since that day I've become a Brett fan because he just got it. He knew what we're trying to do. Even though we were in his face 50 times already by that point in the week, it was just good. You know, I respect guys like that.
That's why they called him the corporate jet, and he had Bud sponsor, and Matt Shepard didn't, really.
Yeah, he did it well. We've got you here, and this is a question I've always wanted to ask and talk to you about. So I don't know if maybe the podcast might be too public of a forum, but what do we have to do to get Ohsweken into the iRacing world?
Okay, that's a great question. So I was working with iRacing prior to the pandemic.
Okay.
And then we got closed up. So I'm trying to look around who's listening here because you know what I really want to do? I'll tell you what my mission is. I'm going to put it out to iRacing this year. They've got to come up and scan Ohsweken and scan Jukasa.
Yes.
See both of those tracks at the same time. Invest in your time. And if you're an iRacing manager, every Canadian iRacer will buy both those tracks.
Yeah.
Because one's gone and one's the greatest.
There are people who will buy the game that don't even have it, that will probably invest in the whole setup just to start and race there.
So nobody knows what's going to happen with Jukasa. We don't. Nobody knows, right? Yeah, I don't even think Ryan Burnham, who's inherited, really knows what the future of it holds right now. But while it's still good, let's get the thing scanned. Let's open up the gate. Let's get their people up here. Let's do both tracks in 1 week and make that happen. So that's high on my list of priorities for this summer to figure out how we can get that to happen.
Scan Ohsweken and Jukasa iRacing.
Yeah,
we need the petition.
We need that.
That would be a petition. I mean, if it's not done by next Motorama, we're going to have a booth set up with just asking people to sign that petition. Looking ahead to this year, big year coming up for Ohsweken, is there anything that you'd like to point out? Obviously, if anybody's curious about Ohsweken Speedway and what you guys put on each and every Friday night through the summertime, they can go and head towards the Ohsweken booth. But while we've got you here, what do you want to talk about? What do you want to preview? Obviously, one night of NASCAR this year with the NASCAR Canada Series coming. I like what you guys have set up there with the Thursday, Friday, and then the Saturday show. Was that the bikes, I believe, on the Saturday night?
Bikes and go-karts.
Yeah, so I really like that setup, but in general, it's going to be a good year, I feel like, at Ohsweken.
Yeah, we're excited about it. You know, the 20th edition of the Northern Sprint Car Nationals is this year, so that's going to pay $20,000 to win, $2,000 to start, which is pretty kick-ass, I must say. $90,000 total dollars for one division on that night. I think that is going to be a great thing for us. I think it suits everybody because even the low buck teams can set their sights on just qualifying and making that show, and then you got the top dogs who come in for all the money. And what we've seen with my brother a couple years ago, that a low buck team can contend in that race and have a shot at it. So I think that really shows that it is a fair playing field, and we've had some fantastic races. I mean, we can go back over the 20 years and probably 13 of them were barn burners or awesome shows. So that's what we're excited about. Crate Nationals is going to continue that. This year, Thunderstock Nationals.
That's huge.
So
this year, let's waste 5 extra minutes and do dome-style interviews, or dome-style.
Okay.
or something like that.
So let's hash it out. How you want to do it?
I don't. Do you watch the dome? Just like instead of doing us where we're at the car, we just walk through a thing in the middle.
So I like that. You know what I saw on rodeo last week?
Yeah.
They were bringing up the night champion, and they had like 2 Chevy tracks in the sand, and they filled it with lighter fluid. And they lit it up, and the guy was walking through a lane of fire. I'm like, that was cool.
Yeah.
But I agree. We could do something in the infield where we bring you guys out. Let's do it.
I agree. I just love that about the dome.
I don't know what that means,
And then
but we're
I'm
gonna
only
do
the
it.
guy, like the first year I blew a kiss 2 years ago, and then last year I had our podcast sticker, and I was
That's
waving
all right.
it.
Yeah.
But, yeah, we could
Anything
get so
that makes
extra
it a little
with
bit more creative. And there's so many great personalities. That's the one thing about doing this show and just being around the dirt community in general is there's so many great personalities that sometimes don't get the chance to be shown off. But in the era of now GeForce TV and what we've been able to do, it feels like since the pandemic even, it's time to show those personalities off even that much more. And I kind of like what Travis is doing. I think that's a good road to go.
It's one idea.
I like that. You know, the intros is a very, it's
You do it all 3 nights. Street stocks, crates,
I
360s.
like it. It's a prestigious moment. It's an emotional for some guys. Like I go back to my brother Mike again because when he qualified on the pole there 2 years ago,
Yep.
he was giving his speech and Mike was about to cry.
Yep.
I don't know if you noticed that. You watch that back. Mike was choked up and then he just said, "Let's go," and that was his way to break out of the emotion.
Yeah.
And I was like, I said to my dad, "Shit, he nearly cried there," you know.
Yeah.
But that's what that race means to these guys. To get back to the G-Force thing, I mean, that has been an organic thing that has grown for us. It's been amazing. It's now led us into Rev TV Weekly, an association with APC, which has been fantastic. We're behind a paywall now at Race America this year, but you still get the race the following Wednesday on Rev if you don't have that subscription. So super proud about that. I think, as you mentioned, showing off the personalities is a good thing. We get the camera out there, but I got a new idea that you guys don't know.
Okay.
Oh, my.
Speaker's Corner. Do you remember Speaker's Corner?
Yes.
We're going to do a Speaker's Corner type thing. And for the younger group, basically we're going to set up a booth in the pit area where we're going to invite certain people every night to come in and say your piece for a minute or two. We'll edit it up and put it on social. We're not sure what we're going to call it. I'm stuck on your say your way. I don't know why I keep coming back to that term. But I think we're going to do it. So we'll invite a certain number of drivers, top 3, good story. And we're also going to do a donation way. So Travis, you can spend $5 to go to the women's shelter or the food bank in town as a donation. You get to now get in the booth and say your piece. Doug Leonard, you screwed me again, and I'm not taking it. If you do that, we're going to have problems, or I'm coming to get you.
Wow. There's
I'm
a
just throwing
jump
out
start
stuff.
for me this year. Thanks, Clint.
But I'm just saying. But you get the point. Or let's say, hey, I got to send a shout out to such and such a crew, the Josh Hansen crew, for example. My trailer broke down. They threw my stuff in their back. They got me here. I was able to start last, finish second. Those are great stories of personalities that we need to get out there.
Yes.
And I think it's a new way for us to kind of break into the social end and do that. So, you know, we have all these crazy ideas, and just like I like to say, we jump off the cliff. We learn to fly on the way down. We haven't gone splat yet. So that's something we're working on talking about. But I think that's a great way to get the personalities and the stories out and give us a new way to get a minute or 2 video clip up of a lot of the drivers.
I love it. Because, yeah,
I like that.
a lot of
Should we
times
hit him
the
with
same
the
guys
question?
in top 3. What?
Should we hit him with the question?
sure.
Yeah.
All right. So we usually end off every interview with the same question, which is, I'm going to give you one race car, one racetrack to drive out for the rest of your life. That's it. That's
I get
the
to drive
one.
it?
Yeah, you get to drive it. Any combination. You can. It can be complete fantasy. You want to say F1 car around Monaco, go for it. You want a sprint car around Ohsweken, which I'm sure you could make happen, you can go for it. But it's
I'll
your
go
pick.
back to my racing roots now. I've been able to hot lap everything, from sprint cars to mod lights, late models. I've driven everything. I've raced a couple times, but for me, I'm going back to my iRacing history, and it's going to be an Indy car at California, I think. I love those cars.
Those were the best IndyCar races of all time.
So
You know,
good.
So
Yeah.
I loved racing that and on iRacing, and I think that's the one that might be my forte.
Foot to the wooden steer.
Yeah,
Barely. Like,
it's easy. No talent,
Yeah.
just
Oh,
make
yeah.
it happen. But no, it's
more
great.
talent than you'd think on that, I think.
I love it. All right, Clinton, we'll let you get back to the booth. Thank you for taking some time out to coming up and being a part of the podcast, being a part of the show. And we can't wait for another awesome year at Ohsweken Speedway.
Thanks, guys. From the dirt side, we appreciate all you guys do. The more shows we can get out, that's the big thing here. The podcaster group of media that has taken over around here, it's amazing to see all this young talent coming in. I mean, I kind of consider myself one of the oldest statesmen. I've been at this almost 30 years now. We were doing social media before we had social media, but I think it's great to see, like, and the fact that we're being recognized here at the show, giving us this stage, giving these guys a booth. It's great to see that they're recognizing all the media and what this grassroots movement does for the sport. It's huge. And, you know, we certainly appreciate all the media as a promoter, and I'm glad to be welcomed in when we can, too.
Totally agree.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, buddy.
Appreciate it. There he is. Clinton Geoffery, everybody from Ohsweken Speedway. Give him a shout out. Give him a hand as he comes on out here. I'll let you go by here. Now, all right, so we want to, should we hit the draft? I feel like we should do the draft now because I know, oh no, we got Dan Price. Let's grab Dan. Let's get Dan Price up here, who is a Canadian modified guy from Brighton. Come on up, Dan Price. I feel like I always...
The Cowboy.
The Cowboy. I feel like I always like overlook
His
the
hands are
Canadian
huge.
modified. Ah, man.
Don't fight him into pits.
No.
Although he's the nicest guy ever.
All right, Dan, you can grab the mic there. I think you got to hit the power button that's on there, and you can fire up. And
She's hot.
Thanks for being a part of the show. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for representing Canadian Modifieds, because it's one of the classes that I feel like we end up overlooking a little bit in our neck of the woods because we've got the center steer 358 Modifieds, but you guys still put on one heck of a show anytime you come down and invade Merrittville or Humberstone or Ohsweken.
Yeah. Well, it's easy to overlook us. We're kind of a small pocket. There's only a couple places in the province that run that type of car, Brighton and South Buxton. And I feel you do a pretty good job.
So, you are a asphalt convert into the dirt. Just give us the story of Dan Price. Because like I used to know you working on the Evans car at the Mossport days way back in the day. I didn't know who you were, but I knew your car and everything. And I always see pictures of Donovan and your car from back then. It always brings back memories. So give us from the Mossport days till now.
I started like late 90s, I believe 95, 96. I remember you was a little kid with Pee-wee and maybe just and your dad. You guys, I started with a Thunder car. I had no idea. I knew I'd heard what stock car racing was. That was long before the internet. We've heard there's a track in Peterborough. I headed out one day, head towards Peterborough and stopping at gas stations. Hey, is there a racetrack up here? Is there a racetrack up here? We ended up finding Peterborough Speedway eventually. It was 2 or 3 nights left in the season. Somebody told me, there's a track at Mossport too, which was a little closer to me, one of the racers there. So we ended up at Mossport for the last night. And I thought, okay, well, I think I want to do this. I think I want to do this. So I think Mossport would be the place. So that winter, we built the car and raced Mossport, raced Peterborough, raced Thunder car for a couple of years, got into Challengers. I did some modified stuff. I had a late model for a minute, some mini stock stuff. Ran for a bunch of years. A couple of years ago, I was into the Oscar modified.
Yeah. You've done everything. A lot of it. That's what.
Anything with an engine, right?
None of it well. Like I've been since '96. I've got one feature. I'm pretty proud of that.
That's probably your most famous car, the '57 Street Stock or whatever, the Chevy.
Yeah. That's that '57 Chev Thunder car. It's been credited for creating the hot rod division. It was the rules for a lot of years. The body had to match the chassis, and I noticed it was omitted once. Was it late winter, early spring? I noticed that rule had been omitted from the Kawartha and the Mossport rule book. Said, well, have I got an idea? I got a 55 Pontiac. A friend of mine had. We grabbed the thing, quickly yanked the old Cutlass body off my Thunder car, threw that 55 Pontiac body on it, which eventually became a 57 Chev. When I depleted the province's stock of 57 or 55 Pontiac parts, that was in that car. That Peterborough Speedway, and my one feature.
Hey, at least you got one. Better than saying you got none. I only got 3, so it's not much better.
So, no. I really enjoy it. And that's not. I don't do it just to win features. If I did, I would have been.
No, you're the guy that racing needs. We need at least 15 Dan Prices. Otherwise, it's the same 5 guys running around, right?
That's always been my argument. That's it. I'm not a competitive person, but not saying I don't want to win or be fast. I try. I do. I really do. But I also know that if really put everything that would take to win, I would have been and priced myself out of this game a long time ago, and I really do it because I enjoy it.
Yeah.
So asking that, you mentioned the price. Is that kind of what led you down the dirt road? I feel like every time we talk to one of the converts, it's always like, well, it saved tires going the dirt way, or it costed a little less this way, whatever. What led you to become a dirt convert?
This show, actually.
Really?
100% this show. I had been running my modified. We've been going down. I headed down to North Carolina. I was actually there, ran Concord the last year before they closed it with a 602 tour down there. I had planned on going to Hickory. We were prepped. Actually, it was Hickory. I believe it was Hickory. We were ready to go down, and by about Wednesday, the weather was looking terrible. It was the same weekend as this show. The weather was looking, it wasn't going to happen, so I pulled the pin on it. Somebody from one of the other tracks said, hey, we need a modified. Somebody backed out. We know your car's ready and likely in the trailer because you were heading racing in North Carolina. Do you mind bringing it down? I said, sure, I can bring it down. The booth was right next to the Brighton Speedway booth, and by the end of the weekend, I pretty much had my 6-race-old modified sold, and I was going dirt racing at Brighton. It was some of the joke is I ran out in North Carolina that put my midlife crisis into motion, where I sold all my asphalt stuff and went dirt racing on a whim.
I love it. Okay, so biggest difference between like the Oscar mod and the Canadian mod?
Well, it's easier to go with the similarities. It has a steering wheel and 3 pedals and a seat.
So you're telling me, like, you always bust your own balls on Twitter about putting around the tires. You're telling me putting around the tires at Brighton, that feels like nothing like putting around the bottom in an Oscar mod at Flamborough.
I guess that does. It does. The driving does translate. You are putting the bottom, huggy pull around the bottom and putting it, keeping it straight. That is a lot like an asphalt car, but you still drive it a lot different. You really can't charge the corners like you could on an asphalt car. You actually can't finesse. You got to finesse. You can't charge the corners. It's a lot of finesse. It's smooth, but driving is completely different. The first time I got in, and somebody warned me, said you're going to hit the gas and it's going to feel like it's going to flip over on you. And I did hit the gas, and when it hikes up on the bars, the thing lifts the left rear corner about a foot, and the thing feels like it's going to tip over. And it is a lot different. It's completely different the way they drive.
Yeah, different, but then sometimes similar. Only when it's super black slick. Like, it's definitely not similar when it's hammered down, obviously. Yeah.
Yeah, and it is, and when it's slick, that I'm not great at this. I'm still learning, but when it's slick, the track comes to me. I'm never very quick in hot laps when it's hammered down, and as the night goes on, the track slows down, I speed up. It comes to me. I haven't figured out the really hammer down and the really tacky track, but when it slicks it, I keep it straight, and I crank the front brake to it, turn the right front back on, brake back on, and just keep it straight and drive it. Get it in, get it turned, get it off, get it in. I feel like that's the asphalt translates to that. It definitely helps with that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put you on the spot here, I guess, and ask you to sell us on Brighton Speedway. Why should anybody who's here at the show, anybody listening to the podcast at home, why should they take the trip up to Brighton and visit you guys?
Late models and proper modifieds? Question
mark? Whoa. Those are fighting words.
Why can't we all just be friends?
We can. I'm a fan of tumble buggies, too.
Tumble buggies is better than,
I like them all. I've just busted your balls. Brighton's a great racetrack. Put on a good show, good car count. We got lots of Thunderstocks, which are across the province the same, and the guys that run the Thunderstocks there run competitively across at any of the big tours. Lots of cars, good fast show, good place. It's clean racing. Track prep is pretty good. It's not super dusty there. It's just it's a nice part of the country too. Go camping when you're up there. Go to Prince Edward County, get a nice camp spot, and go see that part of the province. It's a good spot.
That's exactly how I would have described it. That's the best. That's why I go when I go. This is what you said.
All right, let's hit him with the question here.
Yeah, is this the question?
You may have heard it.
This is the
you may have heard it
question.
before here, but this is how we wrap up everything. I gotta ask you, one race car, one racetrack to drive at the rest of your life. What's the combination you're picking?
So I've listened to every one of these podcasts, and I got a context question here. Is it I only get to drive on this one track, like just once with this car, or is it this is the car for the rest of my life on this racetrack for the rest of
your life?
Okay.
Yeah.
So the easy answer would be a UMP modified, a big motor modified at Macon, because that's my favorite. But that's not, they get old pretty quick. You need a challenge. How about an early 90s Cup car, because I can work on that, I can fix it, like a Lumina, like that first-gen Lumina.
Yeah.
around the Nürburgring. It would take me the rest of my life to figure that place out. You want to keep occupied for the rest of your life.
You're going to have to fix it.
The green hell in a 90s Cup car. A sledgehammer.
I hope you have a lot of A-frames.
Has a 90s
Well, yeah,
Lumen
I'll
ever
just
gone?
make them.
True. That is my favorite thing about Dan Price. He can make anything. And give a plug-in for your business and your what is it? The fire pokers.
Yeah, I make some fire pokers that try to support my race and buy some tires. I got an Etsy store. It's CBV Metalworks on Etsy. You can have a look. We ship all across North America. Yeah, that's a small little plug. It's something I do to support this habit. It helps pay for tires and pit passes and race fuel.
Well, you've given us, I think, maybe the most unique answer we ever got. A 90s Cup car, a 90s Lumina
That is the
around
new leader.
Nürburgring. That went top of the charts there.
Been a lot of nights in the shop working on cars, listening to your podcast, going, what's my answer? There's two, because if it's just once, it's making it a modified. Otherwise, I'm going to the green hell in a sledgehammer and trying to figure it out.
I love it. Thanks for the support, too.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for being a loyal listener, and glad to finally have you on the podcast. And I'm sure we'll be up to watch you at Brighton hopefully soon.
All right, well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Cheers. There he is, Dan
Thanks,
Price. We can catch him in the Canadian Modifieds at Brighton. Thanks for coming on. All right, let's get I see another guest hanging out in the weeds here, so we wanted to have her on because she is a loyal supporter of racing. Can I grab Pamela from Mighty Wipes up? Had to get some Mighty Wipes today, didn't you? You're working in the shop all the time. You're somebody who's got your hands dirty all the time.
Yep.
I'm kind of getting my feet wet and working in a shop kind of thing because of working at Bicknell Racing Products. So I feel like I'm probably going to even need to start investing in some Mighty Wipes myself.
My favorite thing, well, first, hello. Introduce yourself. Tell us about your product, and then I'm going to tell you how awesome they are when I use them in the shop.
Okay, so hi, boys. And yes, you should get your Mighty Wipes. Welcome and thank you. And I'm Pamela Cancellara, the owner and CEO and you name it of Mighty Wipes. My company name is Canada Wipes Inc. First thing, I need to thank the drivers. You guys, I wouldn't be there without you. I hope you can hear this, all you race car drivers. Thank you for supporting Mighty Wipes. Second of all, I have to thank Ohsweken Speedway for getting us started, because that's how we did start.
That's how I know you, yeah.
Yeah. So
Always buying Mighty Wipes off you into pits.
So Clinton and Glenn, I know Glenn's not here, but I'm sure, Clinton can hear me. And I just want to say thank you again for getting me started, because you got to start somewhere. And the door was opened, and it's been fantastic. So.
All right. Now tell us about your product, because I'm going to give you my experience using them. Like when you use like a, what do you call it, fast orange one or similar style wipe, how like they have that smell that never goes away. Okay. And they've got the rocks in it and they have that rough feeling, whereas yours are just like a nice smooth and there is no odor to them and they are natural, right?
Right.
All natural.
So my goal was coming from the country, living on a farm. We grew everything. It was organic. And I did not want to go alcohol. So I wanted something that was all natural, and that's what I've done. I made sure the cloth was an industrial strength cloth, and then it was just putting it all together.
Yep.
And what can I say? That's.
So it's been 2 years now officially, right?
Yes.
So yeah, that's also just got to get this out there because, like I say, they are way better than all the big name brand wipes out there.
And I was asking you how you use them because I was like.
Yeah, you can even use them on their dog and stuff. Like your husband told me
yes,
that. Yeah,
we do.
Like if your dog has a little accident, no problem using them to clean them up.
See, this is a little
That's
bit
how
more
I sold
what
Jonathan
need.
on them.
I got 3 cats at home and a dog, and the dog is fairly clean, but one of the cats is starting to get a little overweight, and I don't trust that he's always going to be able to clean himself up. So even from that standpoint, I might have to get some Mighty Wipes going in my life. But like, you're using them in the shop. You guys are cleaning your hands with them, and you're cleaning up after.
Yeah, you can be in the Varsol tank. And like have that deep coated grease where it's like into your pores.
Yes.
And Mighty Wipes, if you scrub them long, you have to have a deep scrub with them, but it will get it out. You might have to use 1 or 2, but it'll get them out.
And what's great about this is they're soapy and wet. You can take them anywhere. And the application, going back to the cloth, you can actually wipe your hands. It takes the grease off, so when you're wiping your hands, it takes that grease and oil. You can go clean your engine. You can clean the side of your car if it's got grime or rubber on it. Then you can go with that same cloth and wipe your hands, but the grease sticks to the cloth, so it doesn't even go back on your hand.
Yeah.
Very convenient for
That's
you guys.
why. Buy Mighty Wipes.
I see. I'm just dipping the toes into the technical side. You know, working at Bicknell now, where I'm starting to like come home with.
Yeah, his hands usually clean.
I'm usually pretty clean. I take it. I mostly have guitar gunk on my hands, if anything, stuff from guitar strings. So,
Clean the blood
Get
off
rid
your
of
hands.
that.
yeah, you can get rid of that too, right? So, awesome. Thanks for coming on and being a part of the show. Everyone who is here, go and visit the Mighty Wipes booth. You guys have lots of product on display there. People can purchase it. I'm sure with the amount of race cars that are around, there are going to be more than a few people who are going to need some Mighty Wipes in their life. Pamela, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for your support, and thank you. You guys go race and win some races
I'm
here.
running a Mighty Wipe sticker all year.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Mighty Wipes on the side of the number 90 car. You love to see
Yes,
it.
sir.
All right. So we got Nick Sheridan. Is Nick Sheridan around here? Is that what I heard?
He blew us off, and then he's been hanging around the whole time. So he might
This
as well
guy's
come
getting
up
too
here.
big for his britches.
Blew us off like he was cool, and then hangs around, and now here he is.
I just want to grill him as to why he stopped his amazing rookie start in the
BRPI racing series.
BRPI
'Cause he
racing
moved back
series.
home.
Yeah. What happened? Did you move home? What's going on? And
Well, yeah, I moved home, and then we had a little situation where my iRacing rig is no longer usable, so I haven't been on in about 3 months.
brutal. You had such a good hot start, and now all we have to talk about are the Roselli brothers because they're the rookies that are showing everything up. You could have been having just as much success, but that's all right.
He
You
was
can
ruffling some feathers, though. I was proud of him.
Yeah.
Like, he
True, it
was
happens.
making some moves.
Nick, I'm going to... should we include Nick on the draft?
Folks from Van Sickle Pet Value and PV on the Lane aren't just fans of your favorite four-legged friends, they are race fans too. That's why Jeff and Rhonda Riley, as well as their staff, have teamed up with Merrittville Speedway to make your race day experience more convenient. Race fans can now pick up tickets for race nights while grabbing the highest quality food, treats, toys, and accessories for their pets from the St. Catharines and Niagara Falls locations.
Beat the box office and the crowds.
Their support of local racing doesn't just stop with you, the race fan. Catch the Van Sickle Pet Value PV on the Lane 4 cylinders racing at Merrittville Speedway throughout the 2024 season. Check out Van Sickle Pet Value across from Best Buy and Walmart on 4th Avenue in St. Catharines, and PV on the Lane at the corner of Kayla Road and Lundy's Lane, Highway 20.
I was thinking that, yes.
Let's
'cause
do that.
All Nick Sheridan likes to do is eat, other than race.
Yeah.
Other than that is eat.
So we were going to have a draft on the show, a live draft of the best racetrack food. Doesn't have to be specific to any one racetrack, but just what you like to get when you're at the racetrack. And you've gone to plenty of places to either watch your brother race and help crew. You're helping guys in the NASCAR Canada Series now, crew. You're driving yourself. You got a lot going on, Nick.
It's true. I don't eat really at all at the racetrack.
That's
when
what I was
I'm
just going to
racing.
say, because he's always working.
I never eat when I'm at the racetrack, but I have had some experience eating when others are driving race cars. And up until about a few months ago, I was going to say Ohsweken Speedway chicken tenders, but that's a close second. Went to New Smyrna and had their cheeseburgers there in the pits at New Smyrna. And my goodness, it was next level.
So that's
All right.
number one on Nick.
Number one.
All right,
Smyrna
we'll get him.
cheeseburger.
So he has first pick. We'll let first guest have first pick. So what are we going to do? 4 rounds? You want to do 4-round draft? All right.
4-round draft.
I'll write it. Or what do you want to do? Let's do 3. Let's do it for Dale. We'll do 3 rounds.
Do it for Dale.
You can have pick number 2. I'll take 3, and then we'll snake. All right? So Nick, Travis, and me. What are you picking for your first round
Mine's
pick?
easy. I don't care what track we're at. A lot of them have them. A lot of tracks around here don't have them, but pizza logs.
That's a really good choice. That's
Oh.
on.
Pizza logs. I can't believe you took that from me. I wanted that too. Cheeseburger and pizza logs off in the first round. Now, you mentioned it. I don't want to steal it from you, but I think I got to do it to you. I got to take chicken tenders.
I know, man.
I love a good chicken tender at a racetrack.
When Merrittville finally put chicken tenders in the pits, it was a revelation. It took a decade for them to do it seems, but they finally did it, and thank God.
And thank God Merrittville Eats is open again, too. I cannot
Also,
wait to
thank God for that.
go and get some smokehouse ribs. Oh, can't wait. So snake draft, so it's going back to me. I am going to grab, this one is a Merrittville specialty, but any racetrack that does it, I'm going the hot Italian sausage.
Oh, that's a good one.
jeez. Cornwall sausage on a bun is really good, but you just took it.
I like it. All right, back to Travis.
Don't be taking mine.
Oh, so I'm going for a dessert. And Maryville does not do this item anymore, but when I first started going to Maryville, at least 2 decades, they had this baby, and it is fried dough.
Fried dough.
I ain't never had that. Sounds good, though.
It's basically a funnel cake without all the stuff on top and icing sugar, and you're just eating the cake part.
They kind of have something similar to that, I think, at Ohsweken these days, but I don't 100% remember. Maybe that was just like a Canada or like a Northern National special or something like that. But all right, back to you, Nick. What do you want to pick second round?
Second round. Oh, you can never go wrong with a good old pizza slice when you're at the racetrack.
Ooh,
You
all
can't.
right.
You're totally correct.
You can't go wrong. It's
Any
good.
pizza, any racetrack in New York State, get the pizza. Like, straight up, don't even think twice.
Every time. Every damn time.
Yeah, that's true.
It was basically born there other than Italia. Or
Italia.
Pizza's the,
Italia,
New York style pizza's
all
the
right.
best.
Yeah, it's number
New
two.
York style is pretty elite, and I just makes me think of like Lenova at a Sabres game, and I feel like every racetrack has their own take on like the thick, not quite super thick, but thick Lenova slices that are like a little extra greasy and cheesy. I love that. That is a good staple of a racetrack. Nick, you get one more pick in the third round to complete your lineup of the best racetrack foods.
One more pick. I'm on the fence between two, man. I'm going pulled pork on a bun.
Ooh. Oh, all right. That
Hot
one
diggity.
kinda,
That's a good one.
that one kind of came out of nowhere for me. I'm not going to lie. I did not expect to hear pulled pork on this list, but you know what? It is a good pick.
I like being the odd man out, man. I like surprising people, and that's what I was doing right there.
All right, Travis, you can complete your team here.
There's so many. We should have went 4 rounds, but for me, Super Dirt Week, because we had Clinton on and we were talking Super Dirt Week stories. There used to be this little trailer in the infield there, and they would sell steak on a stick.
Steak on a... So is it like... Is it
They would
seasoned?
sell 2. This guy is famous. Dan Price, he knows who I'm talking about. He is nodding at me. This trailer would sell 2 things, steak on a stick and a pork chop on a bun. And the pork chop on a bun has nothing, just the pork chop and the bun. And the juices would fit in it. This is the best. He's still the GOAT. I should have put him first.
Pork chop on a bun, I've heard. Steak on a stick, I have not heard. So
Steak
like,
on a stick
again,
is
we
amazing.
need
I've
you- I
also
need
had
you-
gyro on a stick
I
and
need
like
you to
lamb
break
on a
down the
stick.
steak on a stick. Is it like chunks of steak, like skewered? Is it like... what?
Chunks of steak skewered.
Okay.
Like a shish
Maybe-
kebab, but steak
Yeah.
edition.
Okay, I'm here for that. All right, I'm here for
And
that.
me and Mikey Krutchka would always, if you know the Simpsons episode, you're not Simpsons guys, but fresh Kev Kalash. Get some Kev Kalash. That was what we would call that guy, the Kev Kalash guy.
I was not hungry before this interview, and now I am
Starving.
Why you do this to me, guys? Come on.
You're a race car driver, and you've got a season coming up.
You
so
still
you
have your
can't eat.
metabolism. Skinny little guy. He is built for sprint cars. This is the
actually
sprint
is.
car
I'm
build.
almost a little tall for a sprint car, honestly. Like a year ago or 2 years ago when I was a little shorter, I fit in the car even better than I do now. But now a seat is
Were you
on the
still
ground.
in grade 5 when you won the crate championship?
I
Or was
just
it grade
fit-
6?
Kindergarten. Just
Okay, right.
graduated.
Yeah.
Oh, grade
Yeah.
8.
Amazing. I can't believe they even let you race, but...
neither.
All
Me
right,
neither,
so we
honestly.
got to say here, one more for me. I don't know what to pick. One more draft of food at a racetrack. I'm gonna go ahead and grab off the board. I'm going dessert item 2, Travis, and I'm gonna go with a nice ice cream cone.
I'm glad you said it because I was going to shoot honorable mention to ice cream right after
Did
that.
nobody choose a hot dog on that whole list?
Well, hot dogs.
No, hot dogs did not
Hot
get
dogs
picked.
good, but
I feel like there's got to be some racetrack that has some really good hot dog. Like,
I think
what-
every
what do you
racetrack
think?
has a good hot dog, but usually the best is like when you get hot dog night and it's like $1 hot dog night or whatever.
Gary Cunningham Memorial this year at Maryville, we always get, it used to be $1 hot dog night, but now it's toonie hot dog night.
Toonie dogs.
Toonie dogs.
I'll do it. I'll get
I'm here
2
for a
of them.
toonie dog. You're going to be racing at the Gary Cunningham probably, I
I'm
would
planning
assume.
on it.
Yeah. So, well, you mentioned racing, so we should probably have you talk a little bit about racing.
Try it anyways.
I think you're like the first three-peat guest, by the way. I think he's the first three-time. You are the...
I've been on twice already?
Yeah.
I think
Oh,
so, because
I
we
thought
did
it
your
was
own
the
episode, and you were on
Thanks
with
for
your brother
remembering.
once upon a time, too,
Yep.
right?
Good point. Good, true. Yeah.
So you're
Good
the honorary. You're doing it for Dale.
Doing
He
it
is
for Dale. Don't
This is
have
our
me on
third
ever
year.
again. I got to have 3. That's it. We
Yeah.
got 3.
He's the Raise Hail Praise Dale Club first honoree of the podcast. But what is 2024 looking like for racing for you? Is it Ohsweken Weekly? You guys gonna hit the road? What's the plan for the 45 bunch this year?
I don't think we really have any plans set in stone, hardcore. I've always been, my whole race career, I've always had, this is what we're doing this year. This is what we're doing. This is what we're doing. And then last year, we had a plan, and it all kind of blew up, literally. So we never really... were
Good
able
and
to-
bad analogy there.
Yeah, we weren't able to do what we wanted to do. We're planning on running Ohsweken full time this year, and then do some dabbling around. Maybe run a couple of Great Lakes Super Sprint races in Ohio and a couple of NRAs, GLSS.
I saw the thing on Ohsweken Facebook page, I think, and it was like, which division is it going to be, new winner or repeat winner? And everyone for 360s was putting repeat winner. And I think you would count as a new winner at Ohsweken. I think Nick Sheridan, new winner. Opening night. Everyone else was putting repeat. I'm going to go against the grain.
Well, we're going to be there.
New winner.
We're going to be there opening night. We're going to try and run a full season there. The motor we've got for the rest of this year, we can run a full season on Ohsweken and can't really run anything else in terms of how many races are on it. So if we end up getting a motor like I would like to, we'll be able to do some more, have some more flexibility in our schedule. Right now, we're pretty set to Ohsweken full time, but we're going to just try and commit to that and do what we can, have some fun.
There it is. Well, I mean, if you need any engine help questions, I am constantly volunteering Travis Cunningham.
You say it like I don't already text him.
If
like
he has
3
a
times
singular engine problem, it's an instant message.
It's right there, Travis Cunningham. Boop.
Although one time I didn't fix it. The one where it wouldn't start. That was a weird one. Remember the very first 360 year, I think? You were trying to push it, like you dynoed it, and then you were trying to push it off.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't tell that one.
Oh, yeah.
That was a new one.
I figured that one out, believe it or not.
boy,
Not
see?
even a motor guy.
Look at you.
Hey, but if I was trying to wrangle an engine customer, this is like my prototype guy I want, like with talent, because no one wants to build an engine for someone that ain't going to make you look good, you know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, I don't want to throw you under the bus here in front of your perfect client here, but you were also negotiating maybe putting a 360 deal together for Billings and for
No,
Hudson
I said
yourself.
them find an engine and I would rebuild it, you see.
No, I personally, I love working on my own stuff. I like learning as much as I can about keep maintenance and rebuilding stuff. So I'd love to be open with something like that. I'd like to get our own motor. We're just lacking the funding right now. So if we can figure something out there, we can make something work pretty awesome. It's just it's tough out there. Everything keeps getting more expensive, and it's just the way she goes.
Yeah, it definitely does. So if anybody's listening to the podcast or watching or even walking around here, help support someone with a lot of talent and a bright future ahead of him in Nick Sheridan, because he's, I think, one of the bright stars of Ohsweken and sprint car racing in Ontario in general.
His hat's going to fall off his head now.
Oh, appreciate it, buddy. No, I made extra tight today. Extra tight, and it was coming with you guys. So.
Although you already do have one feature win. Tell everybody about that at Brighton.
I do.
Yes.
That was busiest weekend of my life. We raced Friday Ohsweken. I went crewed Saturday at Mosport for a Penny's car. Saturday night raced Brighton, won that race, which was an amazing finish. And then back to Mosport Sunday and Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. My apologies. And then back to Brighton Sunday night. So
I always say, I've been saying this. I said it to Terry Baker early. Sprint car crew chiefs are going to hate hearing this, but I always say if you've got a high horse about being a sprint car crew chief, it's not that big of a deal because like they're easy. They're the easiest cars to work on. They're up there. But working on like a asphalt-style car, that's when the crew chiefs can show off. Would you agree?
I would agree. I feel like there is
Bump, steer. End of question. Do we have to do that on this? Well, you do that on your sprint car probably, but most people don't.
Stuff. Most people don't. I feel like the sprint car is very keep it simple and make sure you've got you got the basics. You got to make sure you're in within that 90% in the sprint car. In the asphalt, you have to be 100%. There's no other questions. You've got to try some radical stuff to make sure you're there. And the sprint
on dirt, 100% driver can fix a bad car, and 100% driver on asphalt isn't fixing a bad car. End of story.
It's true. He's right on.
And that's why we love dirt.
We do love it, yes. And
We
Nick
do.
Sheridan loves it.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming on. Thanks for hanging around long enough to be a part of the show. I know you wanted to get out of here, but we'll let you go now. And I guess we'll probably wrap up everything. I think we're getting pretty close to needing to wrap up here anyways. So thanks everybody who's come by and watched a part of the show and been a part of what we're doing here with the Southern Ontario Dirt Show. At SODS_pod is where you can find us on Twitter, on TikTok, on Instagram, on Facebook as well. Our podcast you can find anywhere you find podcasts, and watch for the month of April, because I do believe we're going to have some announcements and some special things in the works for future content.
I like it.
Involving the Southern Ontario Dirt Show. So watch for that. Thanks for the support. Thank you, Nick Sheridan. Thanks to my buddy Travis Cunningham. I'm Jonathan Howe, and we're signing off from
Thanks, everybody.
Motorama 2024.
And the checkered is out on another episode of the Southern Ontario Dirt Show presented by Ohsweken Speedway and Bicknell Racing Products. Like what you hear, rate, review, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Connect with us on Facebook at Southern Ontario Dirt Show, or find us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at SODS_pod. Have a question for the show? Email us, southernontariodirtshow@gmail.com. Thanks for supporting local racing in Southern Ontario, and we'll see you at the track.